The studio lights beamed down as the live broadcast kicked off, casting a slick gleam across the polished panel desk. The segment was billed as an economic roundtable, but within minutes, viewers realized they were witnessing a showdown. Jasmine Crockett, the rising Democratic firebrand, took her seat across from Kevin O'Leary, the billionaire investor known more recently for parroting MAGA talking points than offering sound financial advice. From the start, Kevin had that signature smirk, calculated, cocky, condescending. The host, barely into his intro, posed a question about the economy and the impact of diversity programs on corporate productivity. Kevin took the bait and ran with it. "Look, it's simple," Kevin said, his voice sharp and dismissive. "Wokeness is ruining the corporate world. DEI initiatives don't improve performance, they lower the bar. Businesses don't care about someone's identity, they care about results. Period." He leaned back smugly, clearly expecting applause or agreement. Instead, Jasmine shifted in her chair and smiled, not the polite kind, but the kind that says you just walked into the lion's den. "Kevin," she began smoothly, her southern drawl tinged with steel, "let me break it down for you. Diversity isn't about handouts. It's about dismantling the systems that kept people like me out for generations. You act like DEI is a threat to excellence. But the truth is, you're just uncomfortable with competition that doesn't look like you." The audience murmured. Kevin waved a dismissive hand. "Oh please," he scoffed. "This has nothing to do with race. I care about merit. That's what this country was built on." Jasmine didn't miss a beat. "Merit? Whose merit? The system you defend was never built to measure everyone equally. It was built to elevate people who already had power. You speak about capitalism like it's some moral force. But let's talk about the lives crushed underneath your merit-based system." Kevin sat up, his smile fading. "Excuse me. No. Let me finish," Jasmine said, her voice rising slightly, steady and forceful. "You talk about business like it's a clean game. But what about the workers you underpay? The communities you abandon when profits dip? What about the fact that black entrepreneurs receive less than 2% of venture capital, even with identical pitches?" Kevin shook his head. "That's anecdotal." Jasmine leaned forward. "It's statistical. And it's systemic. What you call anecdotal is backed by decades of data, Kevin. You just don't care to look because you're too busy protecting the fantasy that you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps." Laughter and claps rippled through the audience. Kevin's tone shifted, his words clipped now. "You think you're some kind of economic expert. You've never built a company. You don't know what investors want." Jasmine locked eyes with him. "You're right. I haven't built a company. I've fought to keep roofs over people's heads. I've written policy that holds corrupt landlords accountable. I've worked to keep the lights on in homes where kids do homework by candlelight. So no, I haven't built a company. I've built hope, and that's a hell of a lot more than what your portfolio has done for anyone struggling." That line landed like a punch. The studio, usually restrained, erupted in applause. The host tried to jump in to steer the conversation, but Jasmine wasn't done. "You sit there spewing MAGA buzzwords and pretending it's economic theory. You're not defending capitalism, you're defending greed. And you know what? People are tired. Tired of the fake bootstrap stories. Tired of being lectured by men who've never had to choose between rent and groceries." Kevin clenched his jaw, clearly stunned. "That's not how business works." "No," Jasmine said coldly, "that's exactly how your business works. Profit over people. Power over justice." The host, sensing the firestorm, finally stepped in and cut to commercial. "But the damage, or the transformation, had already been done. Jasmine Crockett hadn't just challenged Kevin O'Leary. She had dismantled him. With calm precision, with relentless facts, and with a voice that spoke for millions who had never been given a seat at the table. The next morning, the internet was still ablaze. Clips of Jasmine Crockett's fiery exchange with Kevin O'Leary flooded every major platform. Hashtags like #CrockettDemilitiouskevin and #TruthOverGreed were trending on X, TikTok, and YouTube. Even conservative circles couldn't ignore it, some scrambling to spin it, others silently stunned by how decisively Kevin had been outmaneuvered. Inside his penthouse office, Kevin O'Leary sat with his arms crossed, his phone blowing up with texts and emails. Conservative pundits were already booking him for damage control tours, podcasts, cable news slots, online columns, all desperate to paint Jasmine as angry or radical. But Kevin knew what had really happened. He hadn't just lost an argument. He had been exposed. And worse, he had underestimated her. Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett was being hailed as a modern political force of nature. The calm, focused way she had taken on a wealthy, arrogant titan on live television made her a hero to millions overnight. Her press team could barely keep up. Requests for interviews, podcast appearances, and town halls came flooding in. Donations to her campaign surged by 800% in just 12 hours, many with notes like, "Thank you for speaking up for people like me." Later that day, she appeared solo on a major primetime political show. The host, clearly energized by her newfound momentum, opened the segment with a clip from the debate. Kevin's infamous line, "Day lowers the bar," played, followed immediately by Jasmine's thunderous takedown, "You just don't like competition that doesn't look like you." The host turned to her. "Congresswoman Crockett, your performance last night set the internet on fire. What do you say to critics who claim you were too aggressive?" Jasmine smiled. "The truth feels aggressive to those who are used to lying without being challenged. I wasn't aggressive. I was prepared." Kevin O'Leary came with rehearsed talking points. "I came with lived experience and facts. If that makes some people uncomfortable, that says more about them than me." The audience applauded again, this time with deeper reverence than the night before. She continued, "I've been told my whole career to tone it down, to wait my turn, to be respectful in the face of disrespect. But I don't have the luxury of politeness when people like Kevin are out here rewriting reality to justify economic cruelty." Her words struck a chord. Activists began clipping segments of the interview, adding them to online compilations of black women leaders standing up to power. Educators played her debate in classrooms. Even some moderate conservatives admitted on Reddit threads and YouTube comments that Kevin got cooked. Kevin O'Leary, meanwhile, began his rebuttal tour. He appeared on several right-wing programs, accusing Jasmine of playing the race card and engaging in class warfare. But his arguments fell flat. He looked flustered, defensive, and worst of all, rattled. In one interview, he snapped, "This isn't about race. I built my fortune by making smart investments, not whining on TV." But the host pushed back. "Except you didn't have a response to her numbers. And frankly, you did look caught off guard. Is it possible you underestimated her?" Kevin scoffed but didn't answer. That silence spoke volumes. Behind the scenes, Republican strategists were quietly reevaluating their talking points. They had long leaned on figures like O'Leary to present the illusion that conservative economics were bulletproof. But Jasmine had cracked that illusion. She hadn't screamed or stormed. She didn't rely on emotion alone. She surgically dismantled Kevin's worldview, and millions had watched it happen live. The final blow came a few days later, when Jasmine posted a video on her own social media. Shot on a phone with no makeup or filters, she addressed the public directly. "I didn't go on that show to embarrass Kevin. I went there to tell the truth. I'm tired of people with yachts lecturing folks who ride the bus. I'm tired of billionaires pretending to be victims. And I'm not going to sit quietly while they lie about what's really holding this country back." The video hit over 10 million views in 48 hours. Political insiders now whispered about Jasmine as a future Senate contender. Some even floated her name as a VP pick. But for Jasmine, it wasn't about status. It was about making sure the people Kevin O'Leary never saw, those scraping by, those left behind, had someone to speak for them.